tell me about a time when you had to balance the needs of the customer with the needs of the business. Cool. So consider that there is a bug in the production, right? Which is impacting customer, and you have identified that root cause. Now your manager is not available, consider for next 1 and 2 hours, right? So will you make the changes without consulting your manager?
Okay, correct. So I think in this situation where a manager is not available, but the bug is there and it's impacting. So first task that I can figure out is maybe I will associate certain duration, which is very short because based on the criticality of that bug and the customer impact basically. So let's say for an example, it's a bug in the production where it's directly customer impact, and also the like one thing is customer impact, but another thing we might have to think is the actual business impact also. So, for example, one place where a customer has to can do the functionality but not very easily is maybe a very minor or maybe like less severe impact, whereas the other case where the customer cannot even do certain functionality, and that's why it's a customer experience issue as well as it's a business issue if let's say he could not place an order.
Correct.
In that case it's a very very serious bug. So I will just do a very short severity impact analysis. Another thing I will check is while manager is on not on leave, is there any concerned person he has assigned the like task of monitoring or maybe taking a decision, if that is if there is a said kind of a process. And comparing those two, the action that I can take is if there is a person, I will quickly approach him with the impact analysis that I had done. And if there is no person, I think I should go and do the consent changes while trying to reach the manager, or else maybe informing it on the asynchronous forum of chat or things like that, so that he will be informed about it. And the result in that case would be that the bug will be resolved, if at all it's severe and I did the changes.
Correct, right. And what if your manager is not available for 3 4 hours, but after that he will be available? In that case,
Yeah, I
what
think
will you
then
do?
it would be my like responsibility in that case to reach out to him with the CR. So you are asking that okay, if 3 4 hours is the only time for which I need to understand, I need to
No,
kind of take an action.
I mean, kind of you have identified the root cause and consider that's a very critical issue that customer is
Hmm.
not able to place the order. And now the problem is your manager will be available after 3 or 4 hours. So my question is, would you like to wait till that time, or you will implement the changes in the prod without informing him?
Okay, okay. I think in that particular situation where the criticality is severe, so even 3 4 hours is also a big issue in that case, in the loss of business and customer experience. So I think I would go and do the particular changes. One thing I should be doing is once the changes are done and I have ensured that the bug as such has been resolved on the production instance, I should maybe work on creating a detail of the changes or CR that I have created and maybe send it to manager as quickly as possible.
Makes sense. Cool. So, Sam, here, whichever you have answered, that's the correct one. Okay, the question actually was based on bias for action. Okay, so whether
Okay,
you
but
might not have the full data, the full information, but you should have ready to take a bit risk, kind of,
hmm,
which is a calculated risk that if you feel that you
hmm,
should come, that task is very important, right? Like this, the
hmm.
severity
Okay.
is very high, and you doesn't have the immediate access to your manager's contact, so you have done the changes by your end. So that is expected in Amazon. Okay, so
Hmm, hmm,
only feedback is that while you are explaining the same, that you are making the changes and all,
hmm,
also mention the same what actually you will do to mitigate if something goes wrong, right? Like a quick rollback process if your code changes
Okay.
is
Okay.
impact any other services. You are not sure, right? But you are doing
Yeah.
that because
Yeah.
of kind of I'm just telling you, if you are
Got it.
interviewing with Google, right, then
Hmm.
this
Hmm.
was completely different because they are ask you to means their expectation was you have to check with other teams that whether that make an impact or not. Kind of if everything goes wrong, then only you can deploy the changes, right? But in
Hmm.
Amazon,
Hmm. Hmm.
completely reverse. They are quick, okay, but
Okay.
they
Okay.
are ready to take a calculated risk. Okay, so there might be a
Hmm.
chance that you might have deployed the code, but that's going to affect a different microservice, which you are not sure about, right? So
Hmm.
hence,
Yeah.
you should have some mechanism to quick rollback if something goes really bad on that, right?
Okay. Okay.
And one
Okay.
thing, Amazon is really depending upon the documentation a lot, so it's good to have that what was the problem statement and how actually you have made the changes, what are the file you have made the changes, the all the things you should documented that. Okay, so
Okay.
so
Okay.
these things, your answer is absolutely correct, but these things will give you kind of coverage that
Complete. Hmm.
you will
Okay.
not, the things will not go wrong anywhere, right?
Okay.
To the next question, that tell me about a time when you had to balance the needs of the customer with the needs of the business.
Okay. Okay. So just one clarifying question here. So, uh, but like by balance, as in like whether there were two different objectives here. So basically, customer needs were completely against business needs, or vice versa.
Mm, yeah, kind of. It's not a complete, but something is a customer wants something, but business is not going to prioritize that thing,
Okay.
right? Something else, or customer doesn't require some feature right now, but business wants to push that in that immediate feature kind of thing. So this kind of scenarios, something. So
Okay.
you
Okay.
have a story on that also, yeah.
Um, okay. Yeah, I think in the data science domain as such, I have not come across a situation where customer oh, needs are very different, or maybe business needs are very
Okay.
different. But
Hmm.
maybe broadly, I can think of one case where uh, I am currently leading a team at my current employer, and maybe as a manager, I kind of my duty is to manage my team, and if that is the customer base I'm looking for. And the second thing is the business, which is a management who has certain prioritized goals and business goals. So
Hmm.
my current team actually had asked for a upskilling requirement where they wanted to upskill themselves and kind of participate in certain conferences. However, since the budget for the entire team was going beyond like a amount that business had approved. So the task for me there was to kind of balance between the customer or the team members' requirements versus the business approval that I had got. The action that I took in this particular situation was we kind of looked for a conference which was aligning the team goals of upscaling. At the same time, there was an early bird ticket sale going on, and we ensured that we kind of use and availed that for the entire team and booked for the early bird discount, which kind of gave an edge and reduced our entire upskilling cost. At the same time, I took a business approval for that reduced price, which was available, and it was still above the budget, but it was the difference was less compared to the earlier. And the result was that eventually we got to kind of use the like budget. At the same time, the team was happy that they had got the chance to attend the conference.
Perfect, yeah. So that makes complete sense, Sam. As you have not faced any experience, so you have kind of changed the context, like your team members are being the customer. That's completely fine, actually. Mm, I have not seen any kind of any gap in this answer. That's good. So
Okay.
this was a question on based on the customer obsession on that.
Okay. Okay. So Just Gaurav, one thing here. So, for, in the customer obsession, what I'm supposed to kind of, because see, there are situations where always there will be a case where I went extra mile ahead by doing something for a customer, and I
Mhm.
understand that is one of the LP from the Amazon. But then the another follow up that could come up is it's essentially against, right? Like always, let's say a customer can ask a certain thing for free because that's the, and like if you try to kind of go all the way to give it that thing free for a reason like of customer obsession, then that's against the entire model of business, right? So how much is the, like how do you decide the boundary between going to a customer obsession?
Right. So there basically is kind of another leadership principle, which is kind of uh, re- reserve these things, that is disagree and commit, right? Have backbone, disagree and commit. Correct. So
Okay, okay.
that particular one got to say that you can come up with any approach, that's fine. You can ready to disagree with your manager, your teammates, everything is absolutely fine in Amazon, but you should have data, right?
Okay.
Customer can ask anything on free, that's completely fine, but if you have the data that whether that particular one is kind of a help to improve the business, or customer will be um, happy in terms of kind of a valid requirements, right? And kind of you will have the info that the competitors are offering the same, so we might have the any other option to make the
Hmm.
profit if we are going to give it to free, or we can retain more customers, and that will help our business to grow in the future, or some
Hmm.
alternate approach. So everything is based on the data. So if you
Okay.
have data to showcase, and the you are not going to opposed by a lot of more data, which is going to show you that no, your prediction is going to be wrong, right? Then you can go
Hmm.
ahead with the same. But at the same point of time, if your to whom actually you make the this agreement, so they are showing you more data that the process, or that particular free product will not help you out, basically.
Hmm.
In that case, you are lacking the data against the member who, or the team who actually is not agree with you, right? In that case, you have to
Okay.
commit that okay, fine, I'll not give the free product. So you disagree first and then commit.
Okay.
Once you commit, then you will work with the team to make the same. Okay. So
Okay.
kind of
Okay.
answer of this question is based on the data. So of course, customer can ask you anything, and you should accept that first. Then you
Okay.
should analyze with the data. You should analyze with the team, the management, right? That this is the expectation from the customer, and this is the data I have. This is the
Okay.
cons, or which you feel that whether you feel that that will not help you out, help your team, or you might feel that will really help my team or the
Hmm.
org,
Hmm.
right? So then you will make the decision.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Good. Makes
Okay.
sense. Thanks. That helps actually. Thanks.
So next question is, tell me about a time when you or your team were more than halfway to meeting a goal, and then you realize that it may not be the right goal, or may have kind of unintended consequences. So what was the situation, and what did you do?
So this was a situation which happened where I was asked to join a new project in my team along with the existing data scientist who was working on the same project. And it's been running for a few months actually. And the idea was to kind of create give like, so basically I operate in the flights on travel domain. So the idea was for every flight give a label which is 0 or 1, and that was the problem which was getting solved as a binary classification problem. uh, the task I started was to understand the current existing solution and the requirement. So it appeared that certain assumptions which were made in the designing a solution were not correct. For example, business wanted, let's say, certain flights are zero, then certain other flights should also be zero, and certain flights, if they are one, at least one flight should be zero, and things like that. And that was not considered. The dependency between each flight's output label, zero or one, is not considered in the designing the solution, because the current existing solution was only treating every flight separately and trying to predict whether it's a zero or one. The action that I took was to understand the like with the business, the requirement is pretty much important, and the assumption that had taken by the current solution or current data scientist was that to solve that at the end of the solution, which was not quite correct. So we convinced him with the particular examples of when it will fail and things like that. Fortunately, it didn't take much time to convince him, because he got on board with the like the flaws in the current solution. I then solved the problem as an optimization problem, pitched it to the business that we will take a couple of weeks more to come up with another approach of solving that. And it was a bit like a difficult discussion, because but uh, like we had spent enough resources on that. But the result eventually was that we could solve that as an optimization problem. Currently, it's running every month, and we are predicting those 0, 1 labels for about 40,000 flights and getting it reviewed with the business every month.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. I have no comments on this end. Okay. So, one more question on this part, that do you feel that there was any other way, or if you feel right now, do you feel that there could be a other possibility, or other different way which we can apply to solve this?
So, like in hindsight, maybe the optimization problem could be like solved differently by tweaking few things here and there. But as a solution, I feel like it was not a classification problem, and I was correcting solving it in the optimization manner. So broadly, the approach was correct. Maybe there could be another technique of optimization that need to be evaluated over time.
Makes sense. Okay, cool. Okay, so let's move to the next one. Could you tell me one situation when actually you are trying to understand a complex problem on your team, right? And you had to dig into the details to figure it out. So, who did you talk to, and where did you have to look to find out the most valuable information?
There was a situation where we were predicting risk of different destinations at our like company where we fly, and the customer here was a revenue team. The situation was that this risk needs to be firstly defined. So the task I took was to went to the revenue team, defining the risk and with multiple parameters, and understood that what definition of risk matters to them much more than maybe few other things. And then it turned out that they had already idea about how to what a risk means for a revenue team, and we then mathematically modeled it and generated results to calculate it.
Mm, okay. So here I'd suggest to elaborate the problem statement. So this you have actually make kind of very short, so it's not clear for us. Okay,
Okay.
that what was the problem statement on that. So yeah, so the feedback is try to kind of expand the problem statement a bit so that the interviewer will understand that what are the problem basically you are trying to solve there.
Oh, got it. Got it.
Oh, yeah. So
Gaurav,
fine.
one thing on the previous question, so that was the exactly same question I was asked, the one which you asked, where I explained about optimization and classification.
Mhm.
And exactly the same follow-up question was also asked, that given a
Okay.
uh, thing, what you would do. So what is expected here? Because I that time gave an answer that I do not want to guess what can be done differently. Maybe like the optimization was correct way, but which optimization, maybe there could be better optimization. I don't want to take a case which optimization will work without
Mm, that's
trying.
fine. But the expected answer actually, which you kind of should be um, how you can think of, right? That kind of give up, I think, or kind of don't try to answer. That's not a better approach. It's yeah, instead I'd say that you can think of multiple approach, right? That you can just mention that I can think of this could be a good approach, this can be a better approach, but I might not sure because I have to implement that to see the trade-off in
Okay,
between them. That how what should be the best approach, because um, kind of this is a question which the interviewer will help to identify that what you have learned from that particular problem, whether in if in future you are trying to get the same problem, whether you have think about the better approach to solve it, or you'll stick to the older approach, because might be you have solved the problem 3 4 years back, right
correct.
now there might be some different technologies or tools which are available, which was not there at that point of time,
Hmm.
might help you to solve that problem in a very efficient way, in a different manner, right? So this is
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
important question. So you should kind of give them some data. Again, you have to provide interviewer to the some data so that they can conclude that. So as you have told that that you are not sure, hence you are not going to share that data. So the problem is interviewer will be lacking data on that particular answer.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool.
Okay, right.
Okay. So in
So
that case, I need to kind of always suggest that okay, there is a better approach, maybe this one, but I'm not sure because I need to run it and check.
right, so you can just uh, tell that there might be these approach which could perform better. Then you can just explain the approach, that how actually you have tried to solve that problem, and in at the end you can mention, but though I have not implemented that, so I need to check before implementing that trade-off, so that the interviewer will make sure, okay, if the candidate will face the same problem in the future, then he has kind of a couple of options to try out,
Hmm. Got it.
rather
Okay.
than
Got it.
going to kind of apply the same solution like that.
Got it. Okay. Got
Okay, okay, fine. Tell me about a time when you strongly disagree with your manager, and something you consider very important to the business. So, what was it, and how did you handle it?
one thing was that in the situation where as a kind of leading the data science team, I found that we are taking a technical test, which is a take home test for the candidates.
Mm-hmm.
And that was not really working out well because it was slowing down the process. Also, the results of the take home test were not very conclusive of candidates' performance. So the tasks that I did in this particular, and like the manager in this particular case was insistent to have that particular test in the recruitment as a part of recruitment process. So the
Mm-hmm.
task that I did was I looked at the few more kind of previous results of candidate test and found that like basically found that the candidate's best performance is not very indicative of his overall performance. So action that I took was created a metric and like Excel sheet out of it for the previous about 51 candidates and showed their performance in the test as well as their overall selection rejection metric. And it turned out that it was almost equal, like there was 50% chance with the test after clearing test, almost 50% chance of students or candidates getting selected or rejected. And also the test rejections were very less, so mostly 95% have kind of selected or gone completed the test as expected and went ahead. So this particular step was not adding any value, and this is what I proposed to him. And the result was that, like with that particular data, he kind of agreed, and we got rid of the technical test from the recruitment.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that makes complete sense. Okay. So if you would like to perform the same thing right now, so what you can do? So would you do anything differently?
Yeah, I think main thing was that so there were certain good components of the test, which is like one particular question that we wanted to test the candidates' problem solving skills. So we can keep that problem in a little bit more elaborate fashion in the interview itself, so that we can test during the interview whether candidate can how does he think in terms of solving that particular problem, rather than waiting him to actually solve that at home and send us the solution. We can maybe test the only good part of that problem, which is problem solving skill that we wanted to test.
Perfect. Yeah. Right. So the answer which you have just right now is really good one, because Amazon one more leadership principle is also frugality, right? So there uh, you need to perform the task as much as minimum resources you have. So what you have shown in, you have disagree and change the process, but you took the questions from there and can reuse the same at the time of interview. So this is
Okay.
really a good example. I really appreciate. Okay,
Okay.
and look, go to the next one. Then describe a time when you took on work outside of your comfort zone. So how did you identify what you needed to learn to be successful?
So yeah, this was in one of the previous employers where we wanted to do a problem where the situation was we wanted to predict a particular cash withdrawal from the ATM machines through like as a time series problem, and then
Mhm.
there was a problem of use that particular output. Let's say the cash withdrawal from ATM on today will be this much rupees. Then how do you use that information to schedule the refilling due time for that ATM, like what time it should be refilled back. And I kind of looked at the task, and there were two data scientists along, like one with me and one more person in my team. We wanted to kind of use this particular uh, kind of task. What I observed was that like the first problem of time series prediction is very much solved, and enough literature is available about it in the open source or overall in the curriculum, and that's why the approach to that was pretty straightforward. Okay, there was some experimentation and all the parameter tuning and other things, but broadly the problem was simple. So action I took in that case was to choose the other problem, which was scheduling these machines at scale, like about 1,000 to 2,000 machines, scheduling them based on when they will be kind of empty. And that time I do not have much information about the optimization approaches, and I use that like opportunity to go and read about it. I ended up completing a course on optimization, and yeah, the result was that the solution was built, and I developed a competency to solve problems using optimization.
Oh, okay, that makes complete sense. Okay. Um, so. Yeah, I think that's all from my side, which actually I just wanted to give you the flavor. So, yeah, so
Good.
now please feel free to ask any question which is there in your mind. So, these are the type of questions and the expectations is which kind of you have to answer like that.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. Yeah, I think more or less thanks that also kind of had my mock or dry run for the thing.
Yeah,
And most of my stories have been tested. There is one more story I just want to kind of run by you if you are okay, because that's something I'm not 100% sure.
yeah, yeah, sure, go on.
Okay, so like this was again about like how you used customer feedback or evaluated customer feedback, I think. So maybe the customer you interaction you had, and how with the customer, how you deal with it, what was the outcome. And again, so the story that I have created is about a friend was working in a startup, like on a startup idea, and he had asked me to take feedback about his app, and the app was to kind of teach people who have not used any computer before, any mobile before. So the app
Mhm,
was to teach small tasks of the app to that to them, and I took a interview or a user feedback or customer feedback in this case of that app with a rickshaw driver. And the driver kind of was new to all these things, and the app that we had developed had supposed to complete one task on that app. So it took some time for him. I kind of helped him a lot of uh, places and gave hints, and then he could complete the task. So the friend that I was working with, he was only looking for whether the task is completed by a rickshaw driver or not. But then, while looking at the entire incidents, I observed that although the task is completed, that's not a correct KPI, and we need to kind of look at what whether he will really do it later when nobody's around. And to me, it felt it is not possible because just the way and the count of times I gave hints. Some of those hints were very subjective, not qualitative, like basically uh, like telling him in vernacular language and things like that. And
mhm,
that's where I kind of reported that it's not working out well, even though task is completed.
mhm.
So yeah, that is the story, but I'm just not sure because this can go into any direction. One thing is like there is no solid data about it. Like how do you understand the task is not completed, and how could you do what could you do differently?
Right.
So those.
See, so your thought process was correct. So only thing is, as you are kind of declining any process, right? This will not work properly. So you have to provide a solution on that point of time,
Hmm.
right? You have to kind of provide him kind of solution with a UI, new UI, which will be very easy to
Okay.
access, right? So kind
Okay.
of
Okay.
you are not blocking the project, plus you are actually getting the feedback and try to solve the feedback, means solve the barrier by your own to find it out what should be the best approach or the easiest UI, which will help you to get that solution out, instead of by taking the minimal information from the UI, uh, whether your friend actually can create some more advanced API which will do the most of the task by its own in the backend. That
Hmm.
has not to be filled or done by the customer. So consider if the customer is filling up the car number or the kind of auto
Okay.
rickshaw registration number, right? Then if you
Okay.
need kind of engine number or anything else, the driving license, etc., etc., etc. So all should be auto populated into your backend.
Okay.
So
Okay.
this is such an example that I'm not sure what exactly was the app, but uh, that will help the customer to fill that app in a very minimal data, which is uh, very
Hmm.
easy to provide, and the app will take care, and the backend will take care all the other jobs, right? So
Okay.
that the
Okay.
app will be useful. So this is the solution. So yeah, so
Okay.
that should be your approach. That whichever you told that's completely fine. So at last you have to give a solution that how to improve
Positive end should happen, not
it. Exactly.
decline
Right. Yes.
process. Got
Correct.
it. Got it. Yeah, one question I was about to ask hiring manager at the end was that what are your values? Like what kind of behavior kind of puts you off in like in the team, and what is the behavior you are looking for when you hire a new person? So do you think that will be like too much pushy or kind of a question?
Instead of behavior, I'd say you can ask what are the leadership principles.
Okay, what
Okay.
are the LPs you look for in the new hires?
Right. So
Okay.
kind of the same question that what are the leadership principles you were expecting to have a new joinee in your team? Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So that
Okay.
would be a very specific to that. Yeah.
Good. But then, wouldn't it sound like, okay, there are 14 leadership principles, and I want all the 14 to be there in the new hire, or
No,
that?
no, 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 no job roles actually are going to assign 14 leadership principles, except they are very high
Okay.
level managerial jobs actually, right?
Got it. Got it.
All the
Okay.
jobs
Cool.
have
Cool.
specific leadership principles, right? And the manager actually is going to decide them. So he knew that what are the LP I want from the new hire.
Got it. Then it makes sense. I think that thanks for that, because I will course correct my question. Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine. And right now it's total 16 leadership principles, not 14. So they have added two
Yeah.
new.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right. Now I think that's pretty much it. So yeah. Is there any overall feedback about like my speaking style, or maybe I'm using a particular word or telling things very short? Because there is one this star technique in my mind continuously while speaking. So I don't want to kind of divulge a lot into one particular aspect. So that's why I'm just moving fast. But is it too slow, too fast? Can you give some general comments?
Your speed is absolutely fine, actually. So how you have spoken, that's completely fine. So only thing, as I have told, that a few times you are trying to kind of jump into the task and the solution quickly
Situation. Yeah, yeah,
before
yeah.
explaining the problem statement. So rather than, I'd say, explain the problem statement properly, then jump into the task and the solution on that.
Cool, cool. Okay, okay.
Cool. Otherwise, you are doing good. So, whichever the stories you have kept, it's good. And yeah, just go through the leadership principles. So, I recommend try out different blogs on the leadership principles. Then try it out YouTube. So, see, they are going to reiterate the same thing again and again. Uh, but the advantage is you able to understand the leadership principles by hearing or reading again and again so much that you don't need to remember those
Hmm.
individuals. So that actually will be there into your thought process that if I have to make any progress, this process or this principle I have to follow,
Okay,
right? So
got
while
it.
you are answering, you are not explicitly remember the leadership principles, though your mind
Hmm.
actually is know the barrier that how to think. Okay, so
Hmm.
I'd say practice that and try to read and listen from YouTube or any blogs. There are a lot of blogs and YouTube videos also in the leadership.
Hmm.
So they are saying the same thing, but that will help you to digest the thing into your brain completely, so that you no need to explicitly think about any answer.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Cool. Cool.